Okay. Hi. So I'm gonna make this really fast, but when I say fast, bear with me. There's a lot to say in a little amount of time. So when I first started this journey, I had some major health scares with just the entire reproductive area. Some really big health scares that drove me into fighting the fight, hacking my way through the jungle with nothing but a machete, and really trying to read and research and find, real life, non-biased, non-funded meta-analysis studies, to reading nutrition studies like the China study and many, many other studies, and then also learning about many different styles of eating. And so I came across Forks Over Knives, followed all these plant-based doctors, and found that what you eat is a direct result of what your health looks like. And so I just totally dug into this. At the same time, I was parasite detoxing. I found out that I also had a parasite infection. I believe that the health issues were there first. I personally believe that after reading multiple books, I've come to a conclusion that I believe parasites are like natural housekeepers of the earth. They come in and they decompose of cellular waste. They don't necessarily want to hurt you. They're not there to wreak havoc. They're just there to simply do their job. So I did that, found out I had a parasite infection, and I directly went into nutrition and parasite detoxing right around the same time. And I started eating a whole food, mostly plant-centered diet. In the beginning, I did have some meats. I totally cut out dairy. I noticed that when I did have organic dairy, I just noticed a difference in my gastrointestinal health. My bowel movements slowed down. I just noticed that I didn't feel my best when I had dairy in my system. So I decided I wanted to try a whole food plant-based diet, and I did. And in the beginning, I did eat mostly plant-centered, no convenient foods, very, very little oil. It wasn't very high fat at all. And in my whole food plant-based journey, I basically got comfortable, as anyone would, finally feeling good for the first time in my life, after being treated for parasites and after changing my lifestyle, my dietary habits. I started feeling really good. So I got really comfortable in eating whole food plant-based, and lo and behold, the next thing you know, my schedule is demanding, and we're going to church, and we're, going to the skating rink because we're all, loving this new hobby, and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I start eating and reaching for quicker food, still better than most, but Thai food with tons of coconut milks and added oils, and mellow mushroom once a week, which still had no cheese, no dye, no process, all veggies, but the marinara and the bread still had oil in it. And so I started putting more nut cheeses on everything, started eating more field roast sausages, things with oil and a higher fat content, and started putting peanut butter in my oats. And I noticed very, very quickly, after doing this for about 5 months, my health started to change again. In the beginning, it changed for the better, and it started to change, and I wrote down the things that started to change. I'm just gonna name them pretty quick because I don't wanna go off on some rant. So the first thing that I noticed was cystic acne started to pop up like crazy. My pores started to increase in size. I was not okay with this. I'm not a vain person, but I started noticing some really terrible results in my skin. My skin has always been oily, but then in me getting comfortable with eating whole food plant-based, my skin really, really started overproducing sebum. So I'd wake up with really, really oily skin. First thing, wash my face. So the second thing, my bowel movements started to really slow down. I went from having 2 to 3 bowel movements a day to 1 maybe 1.5 if that's a thing. And that for me was not okay. And that's when I started asking myself, okay, what's happening? What am I doing wrong? And I didn't notice that I had gotten more comfortable eating this way. But I was eating tons of, avocados pretty much every day. And those aren't bad foods. But the ratios did matter in my case. I'd always had menstrual clotting because of the reproductive issues that I had. That I sought medical attention for. Medical intervention wasn't working for me, and that's kind of when I delved into a holistic approach. Menstrual clotting started coming back, and for me that was super weird because it had just started getting better. My body odor had started coming back, and I noticed it was especially distinct when I would drink stimulants and caffeine. And this one, somebody actually in a group helped me realize. I didn't even realize this, but I started having little heart palpitations again, which I actually had that in the beginning because I was still eating, like I said, some oils, but it wasn't as bad as it once was. So it was getting better. Well, then it went away for a little bit when I was really focusing on a plant-rich diet, less fatty foods, less rich foods, and I started noticing heart palpitations coming back. So what I want to tell you about all of this is, since transitioning to a low-fat plant-based diet, let me explain what that is. These foods I will not eliminate forever. So Dr. Neal Barnard says it way better than I do, but he basically describes insulin resistance comparable to a keyhole with gum in it. So over time, after eating a high-fat diet, which is typically the standard American diet, very, very rich, very high in fats, and especially omega-6s and 9s, which are pro-inflammatory, you see an increase or excess development of intramyocellular lipids in the cell. So when you have these excess fats in the muscle cells, basically you develop a form of insulin resistance, and insulin is not able to carry the sugar into the cell as quickly and promptly as it should. And so that is when your blood sugar levels spike or your insulin levels spike. And when that happens, it throws everything off balance, including your endocrine system, IGF-1. When you see an increase in these hormones, you also see an increase in sebum production. So excess sebum production and inflamed sebaceous glands would then cause acne, which makes acne a low-grade insulin-resistant or pre-diabetic state. So it is a form of insulin resistance. There are several other insulin-resistant diseases as well, such as PCOS, I know is one. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you will indeed have PCOS. It just means that while your genetics load the gun, diet pulls the trigger. So again, as of right now, I'm not eating nuts, seeds, avocado, coconut milk, coconut flakes. I'm not even doing nut milks. There are still alternatives there. So basically any overt or radical fat, I'm not eating. And I do want to add, with the skin issues that I started noticing, textured skin. As a matter of fact, I noticed that when I do have a fat, which I did recently, I tried to reintroduce avocado, and I also went out to eat and had some other fatty things. I tried to reintroduce it to see how my body reacted, and as expected, my body totally did not do well. Long story short, I noticed that when I do eat fats, my textured skin literally comes back almost immediately. When I go without these overt fats for some time, it takes a week, sometimes a week and a half, for the textured skin to totally normalize again. So as of right now, I have a little breakout, little textured skin, but again, that was expected. So I literally no longer have cystic acne when I am eating low-fat plant-based. I no longer have those huge, obvious, large pores. Let me say I did try B3, niacin, and pantothenic acid. It did work when I was taking it, which can be really expensive if you're taking this your whole life. So, my bowel movements went from 1.5 to, you know, maybe 2 to definitely 2 to 3. And that was a huge benefit for me because I love feeling light and not heavy. Menstrual clotting again started to normalize again, and that was a big indicator for me too, because I was almost expectant of menstrual clotting. For those of you who don't know anything about menstrual clotting, typically menstrual clotting indicates excess or high estrogen levels, as well as high fatty levels. When you have too much fat in the body, you can't actually metabolize those bad estrogens as well. So I'm learning that, and especially for me, like I don't do as well with a higher fat diet. Funny, the longest living populations in the world also eat a lower fat plant-based diet. Thought that was interesting. I'm reading The Blue Zones by Dan Buettner. Wonderful book. You should check it out. Body odor, literally, I'm not even exaggerating to you. I did some of the hardest work I've ever done. And usually in that time, I would smell a very noticeable musky smell, and yay! Not only did I not notice any musky armpit smells, but literally I smelled myself later and I didn't smell anything. And I forgot to put on deodorant. And so I noticed a really big change that usually when I would drink caffeine or stimulants, it would increase body odor. And I no longer see that. I can actually drink coffee only on the weekends. I only drink coffee on the weekends, and I notice for sure that even the caffeine doesn't affect me as long as I'm not eating overt fats. I thought that was cool. And then this last one I told you, somebody else helped me point out, heart palpitations. I've not literally had one since eating this way. And it's been at least 4 weeks that I've noticed. I've been eating this way for maybe a truly low fat plant-based diet for maybe 2.5 or 3 months. And I'm already seeing all of these changes in a pretty fast amount of time. So that's all for today. I'm only sharing my story with you guys because this can be really tricky stuff, and sometimes you can get really lost in it. And so I just share this in hopes that my journey and my changes and my observations can increase your life's quality. So if you have any recipes or any comments, definitely leave your comments, because I love reading and I love interacting with you guys. And so if you want more videos in the future, which I don't post as much as I should, but I am going to be posting more, click the notification bell and we can learn together. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk at you later.